So hopefully this will fix the video thing, and if it doesn't, I'll just have to order another microphone. So it'll be my second one of these microphones that's gone bad. What is the vertex of a parabola? Simplest explanation for the vertex of a parabola. What is it, Aaron? Lowest to the highest point. How do you, it's pretty easy to find on a graph, right? Look for the lowest or highest point. How do you find it? What's the fastest way to find it in a table? If I say, what? In a table. How do you find the vertex from a table? Luke?
The symmetry?
Yeah. You punch it into y equal, go to your table, and you're looking for symmetry about the lowest or highest y value. About the lowest or highest y value. That is the fastest way to find the vertex. And we need to find the vertex because there are a few things that are determined by the vertex. What's one of the things you get from the vertex? Axis of symmetry. Luke Perry, what's another thing?
Whether it opens up or down.
You don't get that from the vertex.
Oh, you get that from information.
You get that from information in the equation. But what do you get directly from the vertex once you know whether it opens up or opens down, Luke?
Oh, whether it's reflected to the parent or not.
Okay. One of the, yeah, Nat. Say again? Maximum or minimum. Why does it matter whether it's a maximum or minimum? What does that matter? Yes, Luke. What does that matter? Griffin, thank you. The range, and Lamb, and there's a, the range and the axis of symmetry come directly from the vertex. The range and the axis of symmetry come directly from the vertex. If it is a minimum, then it's all y values greater than or equal to the y value of the vertex. If it's a max, it's y is less than. You need to make sure you've locked that into your head. So number one, the fastest and easiest way, by the way, make sure you're doing second plus 712 when you first pick up a calculator because you never know what's been in it before you. You go to y equals, you type in 4x squared minus 2x plus 3. You go to second graph, which is the table, and you're looking for symmetry. Did we get it? Nope, we did not. Therefore, what? What do we do now? Before you do second window, what do you do? That? Negative b over 2 times a. Negative b over 2 times a is your vertex formula. And when we plug things in, we end up with negative 2 over 2 times 4, which is 2 over 8, which is 1/4. What I now know, based off of this a value, I know the parabola opens up. And I know that my vertex is located at 1/4 something. So how do I find the something? Miles?
You press second window and you enter in 1 5.
Perfect. I go to second window. I type in 1/4 or 0.25. I go back to my table. Is that my vertex? How do I know? I don't see symmetry. Arrow up twice, right, Bruno? Arrow up twice. I see symmetry, therefore it's at 2.75. That is my vertex. That gives me my axis of symmetry. It gives me my range. Yes, sir. Oh, the battery's slow. Okay. Okay, so we get that. And the second one. By the way, right now, in your calculator, every other table you have is going to start with 1/4, right? So, second plus 712 to clear it out. Go back to y equals, go to the second one, negative 3x squared minus 5x plus 4. I hit second graph, I look at the table, there's the symmetry. Guys, please make sure you're doing this, or today is going to spin you around, okay? I see no symmetry, so I go back to negative b over 2 times a, which is negative 5 over 2 times negative 3, which is 5 over negative 6. By the way, don't give me that as an answer. Remember when we talked about I don't like negatives in the denominator? Move them to the numerator. It's negative 5/6. So I know it's negative 5, 6, something. So I go to second window, type in negative 5, divided by 6, go back to my table, arrow up twice, 6.08. Round to the hundredths if it goes on and on. Is this vertex a max or a min? It's a maximum because it opens down. That means its y is less than or equal to 6.08. Means the axis of symmetry is x equals negative 5, 6. All those things happen. Any questions on that? Cool. So let's get to what we're going to talk about today. So far, we know the standard form of a quadratic. What's the standard form of a quadratic? Micah? Hold. Griffin.
Y equals ax squared plus b.
That is the standard form of a quadratic.
Oh, that's what I meant. I just forgot.
You didn't get it like 4 times, so that's a big old miss. I was going to hit the ball, but then I had 3 strikes, so I didn't. Sorry. Now, the standard form of a quadratic tells us a few things. Someone give me one of the things we learned from the standard form of a quadratic. John?
If it's
How do we know if it's a maximum or minimum? The A value is positive or negative, determines whether it opens up or down. Someone give me something else, Ryan? Okay, we get the y-intercept from C, correct? Y-intercept is always C. What else do we get? Aaron? How do we know if it's shifted, the vertex is off the y-axis, Aaron? If you have a B value, the vertex is somewhere other than the y-axis. And there's one other thing we get. We know up or down, we know y-intercept, we know off the y-axis. There's still one thing. No. What do we know? We know if it's wide or narrow. How do we know if it's wide or narrow? If the A value gets closer and closer to 0, it gets more and more wide. Make sure you know that. Today you're going to learn something called the vertex form of a quadratic. The vertex form looks like this. That's the vertex form of a quadratic. I want everyone just to kind of watch for a second. Now, so that you know, the A value here is the same as the A value there. So the number in front of the parentheses still tells us, does it open up or down, and still tells us whether it's wide or whether it's narrow. But what it does other than that is it gives us the vertex, because the vertex is located at the point HK. The ordered pair HK is the vertex. It's why it's called the vertex form of a quadratic. It's why it's called the vertex form of a quadratic. Okay? Now, as we're going through this, I want you to be very, very careful about a couple things. And I want you just to watch this for a second, and then we'll get into it. You notice that this is a subtraction sign and this is an addition sign, right? So one way you kind of need to think about this is this. I'll show you why. If I tell you your vertex is located at the point 4, negative 6, I tell you the vertex is at 4, negative 6, then you would put the 4 where the H is and the negative 6 where the K is. But you can't write an equation in algebra as plus and negative. So what would it look like once you spread it all out? It would look like x minus 4 squared minus 6. Minus 6. So this is where we have to be very, very careful about negatives and positives and kind of think our way through it. So let's try. Based off number 1, what's the A value? It's negative 3. We already know that. By the way, what does that tell us about this quadratic? It's a max because it's reflected. Griffin's right, because it opens down. So we already know our ranges, our vertex is a maximum. I already know that. And I actually know that the range is y is less than or equal to something. I don't know what yet, but I know that. I know I can fill all that in. Now, here's where you need to just watch for a second. our formula is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, where this is h and this is k. Now, do the signs match inside the parentheses? They do not. Therefore, you take this number and it becomes its opposite. My h value is -4 because it's supposed to look like this, and it doesn't. So I have to change the value of that number. On the second one, do these match? No. Therefore, it's not 7, it's -7. If the signs match, you just use the number. If they don't, you flip the sign. Yeah, make it its inverse. That makes my vertex -4, -7, because I got it from the vertex form of the quadratic. What's my axis of symmetry? Domain? And the range, all y's less than or equal to? -7. Now, when I was talking to you about the vertex form, what did I tell you? How did I tell you can get the y-intercept from the vertex form? I didn't, because you really can't just get it. It's not something that's just sitting there. But now let me ask you a question. How do you find a y-intercept from a table? When the x value is 0, right? No, you're fine. I know what you meant. When the x value is 0 is the y-intercept. Everyone agree with that? So I want you to watch up here real quick. If that is 0, what's 0 plus 4? Squared times -3. -48 minus 7 is -55. That's your y-intercept. Now, I showed you how to do it without a calculator just now, but what you could also do, and I can't really prevent you from doing it, you could have typed this into y equals in your calculator and simply looked at your table where x equals 0. Right? And I don't have a problem with that. Now, here's what I do have a problem with before we get to the next one. I also know you could type that into y equals and find the vertex. Right? You can. You don't know how to do that. You're looking for the table and the symmetry and all that other stuff. I'm here to tell you, Wednesday and Thursday, if you end up doing it that way, Wednesday and Thursday are going to be a nightmare for you. If you can't pull all this information, except the y-intercept, if you can't pull it all from this equation, then Wednesday and Thursday are going to suck for you. Okay? So what I need you to do is practice. That's why there's no homework tonight. There's no homework tonight. All I got to do is do some classwork and check it against the answer key. Practice without the calculator. Okay? Let's try this one. Try that one yourselves. Now remember, I don't want you to pick up the calculator until you need it for the y-intercept, but you probably won't even need it for the y-intercept, but you can. Rather than that, I want you using your, yes?
How'd you do the -55? How did you get that?
I just made x 0 in the equation and then did the math. See where the x is? I just made it 0. No. It's like linear regression but quadratics. Friday's the one day to miss. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no bueno. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, was before this on Queen? Was it Queen?
Was this?
No,
Oh, yeah, it was before this, yeah. Yes, sir.
What is the satisfied fit?
What?
No, it's not satisfied fit.
Yes.
See.
Okay.
Am I gonna miss anything important tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, right off the bat, what's the A value? 3x. What does that tell us? It's a minimum because it faces up, right? It's also a little bit narrower, more narrow than the quadratic parent. But it's not asking that. I just want you to kind of lock that into your head, right? Thank you very much. Okay? Now, here's what I want you to start doing. When you get the equation, here's what we know that this is the formula, right? So it's x minus h plus k. Now watch. Do the signs match this time? Then it's just 1. It's a 5. Then it's just 1 for the h value. Do these signs match? Then it's just 5. If the signs match, you just use the number. If the signs do not match, you change the number to its opposite. Okay? So if you made that -1, then I want you to lock into your head, well, because the signs match, then it's just the number. And that was just 1. Okay? That makes our vertex 1, 5. Makes our axis of symmetry x equals 1. Makes our domain our real numbers. Makes our range, well, it's a minimum, so it's y is greater than or equal to 5. Now, y-intercept. Y-intercept is where bring us out the x is 0. What'd you get, Luke?
I got 0, 1.5.
Okay, let's see. What's 0 minus 1? Squared. Times 3 halves. 1.5 plus 5. And that's where most kids mess up. They do all the right, but then they don't add the 5. It's 0, 6.5. Okay, 0, 6.5. Any questions on that? Joe, you got this? Okay. Next, we're going to go backwards. Everyone watch. Pick up your calculators. Clear them out. 7 plus 7, 1, 2. This, we're in standard form. Yay! And you notice the x squared is in the x and the number, so we know that the a is 2, the b is -16, the c is 25. What's the easiest way to find the vertex when you have it in standard form? John? Use your handy dandy notebook. Y equals. Sorry. What was handy dandy notebook? Was that Blue's Clues? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. We're all retro. Okay, so pick up. Oh, y'all know y'all watched it, you bunch of liars.
I watched like one.
You loved. Everyone watched it until Joe showed up, and then everyone stopped watching it. Steve was fine, and then Joe, the weird cousin. I don't even know how that worked out. Ryan. Oh. Okay, so 2x squared. 2x squared. Minus 16x. I remember watching Uncle shows, Mr. Smith, even when I was 3 years old. Okay. That is not true. So Ryan's right. The vertex is at 4, -7, because that's where we have symmetry. Now watch. It is a minimum, because the a value is positive. Now, that makes our a value still 2. Guys, the a value stays the same. Now, I want everyone to just watch this carefully. The h is 4, the k is -7. If both numbers are positive, then you're simply going to fill them into the formula right here, which again is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Well, guys, you just plug in the h and the k. So if both of them were just positive numbers, the 4 would go here, the 4 would go here, and the -7 would go here, right? So let's do that. 4, let's see, a, y equals, by the way, make sure you write it in y equals form. A, which is 2, times x minus 4 squared. Don't write plus -7. What's plus -7? Because that's not the way it's written algebraically. Technically it's not. technically they made up plus and negative to get you to better understand integers. Technically, there's no such thing.
The same thing.
Well, technically, he's smarter than you.
Yeah. Hey, Luke, I'll compare it to, remember when I taught you when we were doing division of exponents, and I said you can basically expand them all and then just start canceling and canceling. Technically, that's one way to solve it until you get x to the 19th, y to the 20th over x to the 38th, y to the negative 74th. And then all of a sudden, that way, not so good anymore. See what I'm saying? It's just, you'll never see it written like that, so I don't want you to get in the habit of writing it like that. Any questions on this? Do that one yourself. Do the next one. Do the next one yourself. Now, as you do it, the first thing you should check for when it's in standard form is what? Is it in the right order? It's a rhetorical question. Yeah, you can, but you can't identify A, B, and C. You kind of can, but I'm saying you have to think about it before that happens. Yeah. Yes, go. Cappy, stop. Okay, I got an A, B, and a C value of -1, -4, and +5. By the way, that already tells me that the parabola is inverted, which means it's a max. So then I plug it into the calculator, and I end up with -x² minus 4x plus 5. Go to the table, and I do have symmetry at -2,9. I have symmetry at -2,9. Gives me an A value still of -1, H of -2, K of 9. Now here's where you have to think before you write it. The formula says y equals A, which is -1, times x minus h. It would be x minus -2, which is x plus 2 squared plus 9. You just have to pause and slow down and think. Pause and slow down and think. Any questions on that? You have classwork? No homework, so I want the classwork done. If I see you packed up, I want to be able to come by and see all your classwork completed, please. Okay?